Welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast. My name is David.
And my name is Donni.
We're here to talk entrepreneurship. Hey, real quick, because we are actually live right now. Do y'all know of any other podcasts that teach entrepreneurship? What is, or from a duo or 3 people, 4 people, or whatever? What other podcasts teach specifically entrepreneurship? Because I want to go look at some other ones. You know what I mean? This the last one. No, it's not the last one.
What's that song from the early 2000s? And it might be. No, it's just.
So, well, I mean, that's a good starting place where we're talking about business and how business works. Now, business has changed over generations, right, Donni?
Business has changed over generations. Business has changed over generations, but the way that we do business has changed so much in the last just 5 years.
For sure.
Things that were working, marketing strategies that were working, sales techniques that were working, the way you actually acquired a customer. While there will always be some traditional business practices that never change, the way that we do business the way that we've been doing business in the last 5 years has changed significantly. And the way that we've been doing business over the last 12 months has also changed significantly. And I believe that we see a lot of evidence of that when we're looking at all of these companies that are either filing for bankruptcy, closing down, or pivoting altogether.
Where's my other phone at? Is it in my car? 'Cause I think I need my phone or my computer because I want to look up some stuff. Let's look up all the companies that's going out of business.
Let's look up all the companies that's going out of business.
Right.
So here in Atlanta, Red Lobster filed, I don't know if they filed actual bankruptcy. However, Red Lobster got into bed with a hedge fund that was supposed to bail them out of so much debt, massive debt. I don't want to say the wrong amount, right? Red Lobster got into bed with a hedge fund that was supposed to bail them out of all this debt. And recently they made an announcement that many of their flagship locations are going out of business. Here in Atlanta, they did an auction sale on one of the locations where they sold everything inside of the restaurant, the kitchen equipment, the dishes, whatever food inventory was left over, everything for $15,000.
Damn.
And if you know anything about restaurant equipment and outfitting a restaurant, you know that $15,000 from a Red Lobster is a steal.
Nothing.
It's nothing, right? So what happened with them is that they got bailed out by this investment group. The investment group then, they bought all of the land that they acquired ownership of all the land that Red Lobster properties were sitting on. So not only did Red Lobster have to pay them back on the investment, they also had to pay the rent on the land. So the investment group got their money back expeditiously because of how they worked out the repayment clauses in the contract. Meanwhile, it kept Red Lobster underwater in an extreme way that they cannot seem to recover from. And that was so enlightening to me, even as we're in our own business negotiations to acquire investment capital for our new building. It's like we have to pay attention to the terms and look at the terms in such significant detail that we don't want to accept money from anyone that can turn around and bite us later.
Yeah.
Like imagine no longer owning our land and we make that deal just to keep our brand.
Yeah. Yes. You have to continue to pivot. And it's not even, so for some people think that pivoting automatically means things aren't going well, when really you just got to get to that next level. So Donni and I have never raised money before, but we find it interesting that a lot of companies do. And I don't know how long you've been looking at the raising money model, but I've been looking at it for a while, and I'm like, my first thought was, it's unfair that you have some people that will invest in you when we getting out the muscle, getting it out the mud. And I was also looking at it like, well, those people aren't willing to invest in themselves. So it doesn't mean that things aren't going well. It just seems like, yo, you want to get to that next level. So I thought the people that were raising money is because they don't have their own money and they're not willing to put their own skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at it like, man, wouldn't it be cool to have some people invest and help us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like have some people assist. And we're not taking money from everybody. It's so funny. Somebody commented, they was like, I thought you were rich. Why are you asking us for money? I was like, first off, I'm not asking you for anything.
I'm not asking you for anything. You specifically.
Oh yeah, for sure. We called a hand select group of people that we invited. And actually I was at the gym earlier on Sunday. And it was a guy who has an app. And he was like, yo, some people that's like throwing money at me and they want to raise the money. He wants to improve and get invested and stuff like that. But he has a really, really dope concept. So he's not the person that would invest, but I invited him to come. Like I was like, yo, we're doing our first pitch. Come see what it looks like. You might be able to take some stuff away. So the idea is not that we aren't invested ourselves, but like this is a practice that other people do forever. And just shouts out to that young lady who commented, yo, you out here asking people for money. I was like, bro, I'm not asking you for anything.
Well,
I'm asking my friends.
And it's important to clarify why we're asking for money, right? So David and I have already put up nearly $500,000, and not even nearly. When you calculate all of the mortgage payments and the little bit of things that we've done so far, the insurance, we've put up about $500,000 of our own money so far. And the reason that it's important for us to acquire additional capital, or why it's ideal, is that I think people forget that we actually run and operate other businesses.
For sure.
Right? So yes, while we do generate strong revenue from our companies, we still have to operate those companies. We still have payroll for those companies. We still have our personal expenses and the people that we take care of. So it would definitely be a noticeable absence if
sure.
it's $2 million that we need. And while we love that you guys think that we're 9-figure business owners, we're not yet, right? We're not yet. And we still have to be strategic with the money that we have, cash that we keep on hand, and acquiring investors allows us to operate at a level of excellence that maybe we wouldn't choose to do in the same way with our own cash because we're tapped. So if you look at any company, like you got Donald Trump, who still raises money for his businesses. In fact, he was just found guilty of his legal charges in court. And instantly, as soon as the news broke, a GoFundMe was created to help with his legal expenses. And I believe they said they raised like $30 million in the matter of 48 hours. So you guys, can Donald Trump pay his own legal expenses? As far as what we know, based on what we know publicly, absolutely. But there is a reason that wealth is distributed and kept the way that it is. And it also offers an opportunity to investors to come in with their own level of expertise to help take the business to heights that we wouldn't have seen ourselves.
100%. And let me be clear about, and I won't speak on Donni, but I'll be clear on my personal situation. I am still a small business owner.
As am I.
And let me let you in on a little secret. Every single month isn't a profitable month. There you have it. Hey, for those who think that I am a guru or I ever claim to be a guru, I'm not. We are all figuring it out. Now, there's a level of people that I coach because I can teach you how to get out of your own situation. This is why I focus on, and Donni goes like higher level. You've helped a lot of people make a whole bunch of money. I help people who make, if you make less than $250,000 a year as an entrepreneur, I got you. I got your back 100%. If you're trying to go from 10 to 20 million, I'm not even going to take your money for coaching unless you want to learn like content creation or something like that. I am still figuring business out, and it is a never-ending journey. You understand? Yo, I'm looking at my expenses, and I actually one of my full-time videographers, he's not a full-time videographer anymore, and I told him like, yo, we're gonna do like based on like need, right? I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, yo, Red Lobster is closing. I don't want everyone to like get anything twisted. From this podcast, we are not telling you what to do and what not to do. We are on a journey teaching you all what we know. So don't put us in the classification of the gurus. There's a certain group of people that we can help no matter 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want you to think that I said that I am the master. You know how the hot seat started, Donni? My mentors cooking me about not having my stuff together. And let me let you in on another secret. If one of them put me in a hot seat today,
you get cooked.
I would get
You would get cooked.
Oh my gosh. Look, we don't have it together. However, our journey has, and we are so we try to be as transparent as possible in everything that we're doing. And I think that's why people love our show.
Yeah,
right?
I believe that. I believe not only is it the reason that people love our show, it's also the reason that we've built our businesses and we've been able to amass the level of success that we do have, right? Because we're so transparent and authentic. We have made mistakes in front of our audiences. I don't even want to talk about my most recent mistake, but we've made mistakes in front of our audiences. We've won in front of our audience. I've cried. I don't think you have, but I've shed tears. We've shared our emotions. We've shared transparency and things that we're experiencing in real time. And what David and I do very, very well is we learn a concept. We put that concept to work. We prove that concept has worked for us, right? And behind the scenes, we put people onto it like, yo, you should do X, Y, and Z. And when we see that these things work, then we're able to present it to the marketplace and offer it as an offer and teach you things. All we do, literally not claiming to be a guru or the master of, we're just really, really great at learning information, applying it, and then coming back and sharing it with you.
For sure. Now, I am still podcast king because I put it in my bio. So for sure. But listen, man, I want everybody to maybe take a note on this. This is why I don't like slander people, because I know I got my stuff with me too. And even a lady that was like, yo, you're it's like, yo, you supposed to have all this and that. Why are you raising money? For one, I understand that person doesn't have the $500,000 that we put in. You know what I mean? And two, the people that make mistakes, especially in the public, man, I'm just not the person that's going to throw the first stone, because I got stuff with me too. And all the people that comment on, negatively, like, yo, you should do this and you should do that. Here's another thing. This, I didn't like this last year. And maybe we'll just, I don't know. There's a lot of things we need to just talk about and discuss. But moral of the story is,
talk about it. What are we talking about? I ain't never scared.
Well, I mean, it's not. All right, so here's the thing. When it comes to like me interviewing people, and we were having a conversation about this too, I was like, yo, I don't want to interview nobody else. Not nobody else, but I don't want to interview people. I love interviewing, but I don't know, man. I saw last year, we loved Diddy last year. So anybody that's commenting right now, like, no, you da-da-da. Last year, if Diddy was saying, you was watching the videos, he's a mogul, you guys love him, right? Like, I remember when he came to InvestFest, I was like, yo, Diddy, mogul, this is lit, exciting, right?
I walked right past that name.
Really?
Absolutely.
I mean, for like,
there was a time that I loved Diddy, for sure. There was a time that and he's still a mogul in music. Yeah. There was a time that I respected his authority in that space so much, but it's been obvious for a good minute now that Diddy was on some other stuff. I literally had to choose between going to stand in the line for the bathroom and going to stand in the line to see Diddy. And I took my butt to the bathroom, for sure.
I didn't actually see Diddy because it might have been on a Saturday. I did try to go to one of them parties though.
Recently?
No, it was
Oh, I was at every Diddy party back in the day.
You went to Diddy parties?
If they were in Atlanta, I was at the Diddy parties.
No, we was in LA. I forgot. Maybe it was like a BT weekend or something. Like, we tried to go to the Diddy party.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just because it was lit. You just couldn't get in. Anyway, moral of the story. So EYL has Diddy at InvestFest. And when they announced it, I'm like, yo, that's fire, taking things to the next level. And then all the things happen where, they happen, where we find out this man is an animal. And we see it. We see it on the video. But then the people like, see, EYL supports Diddy. Last year, you loved him too. But now,
listen, some of those same names that said that about EYL, they were taking pictures of Diddy too.
Come on, bro.
They were taking pictures of Diddy too.
Don't act like you wasn't in the crowd.
They were taking pictures of Diddy too.
Diddy said this, and now I'm about to move my business like that. Yo, you're a clown.
They were hanging on to his word.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
Shouts out to the guys. But that's what I'm saying. I'm going, it's so hard to be close to anybody because if that person does something, it's automatically your fault. And they'll be like, yo, well, they should have vetted Diddy. What? How you look up the tapes of the hotel that he was in? How can you do that? But then I realized I was getting upset at people in their comments, but it's from people who wouldn't know what to do in the situation we're in. That's why, even when we was having barbershop talk when Obama was president, yo, Obama, what he need to do is this and this. He need to really do more for black people. And if you were the president, you would run this country into the ground. You don't know what you'll do in somebody else's situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'll be in InvestFest 2024. I'll be in the building. I'm excited. They are putting on the largest financial literacy event of the world. So shout out to guys.
They are, but I do have to fully denounce Diddy. So let's not put him back on
sure. He's a clown.
On any stage. He's more than a clown. He's a scumbucket piece of sewage.
Yeah, it was a clown. In an earlier episode, when it was allegations, my position was, I don't got nothing to say because we don't know what happened. But then we found out what happened. That's when I'm like, all right, well, he's an animal. So.
He is an animal of the way. And I'm not talking about a little Yorkie puppy animal either. He is vicious.
This man's an animal.
Anywho, so
I wanted to say something, last thing on that. I think it's something too, when you get to that level, David, please just stop. Stop what?
Hey, stop reading the comments is what you need to stop doing. You guys, stop. Don't name David in the comments. Wrong? You didn't say anything wrong.
Okay. Anyway, I think it's something to having power that is scary.
Having power is scary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when you have that type of power, you feel that you can do or say anything. So you feel like you're above the law. So in his situation, Donald Trump, R. Kelly, all these people who do heinous things, and if they weren't who they were and felt they can get away with it, and they felt like their money will buy them out of any situation, then maybe they wouldn't have gone as far as they would in their, in what they did. It's just, I don't think people understand what power can do to a person because you feel like you're above the law and nothing's ever going to happen to you.
We should have known from making the band, the cheesecake episode. Go walk across the bridge, bring me back some cheesecake.
Yeah.
We've known since the early 2000s. We just overlooked it. But no, your point, power is scary. Yeah. It is what you do with the power can become scary. And then also not even having the power, having access, direct and close access to people with power is also a unique position that you have to be very mindful of. Basically, like they say that money exposes more of who you are. It doesn't change you. And I do believe that to be true. But I also believe that there are people who get around these other people who have evolved because of their money, and they start learning things. So I believe that money can also put you in situations where you're exposed to stuff that you would never have even thought about.
100%.
Right? And that's one thing about power. On the other side of power, you will have people, much like we do. Social Proof Podcast really paved the way for a lot of podcasters that are in this space, that are, popular and podcasts for the culture. We're not taking credit for anything like that, but it really inspired. We hear it every day.
Sure.
We get the messages every day, everywhere we go. It really inspired some of your favorite podcasts to get started and take the leap and take it seriously and not just record an episode every now and then. And that is influence, and influence is power in a way, right? And what I have learned over, even back in the days when I was in a condensed environment and I had influence in that industry, what I've learned is there will be people that just simply can't stand the way other people love you and look up to you because they want it so badly for themselves. And so there are people who will literally just spend their time trying to find, whatever the flaw is. Oh, that's it. That's the flaw. Let's break it down. Let's tear it down. And coming back to you saying you don't want to interview people kind of anymore, I don't think it's a good idea. And I'll say that publicly. I think that you are one of the most talented conversationalists. I wouldn't even say interviewers. I like to say conversationalists. I think you're a talented conversationalist. I think that you have rightfully gained the respect of so many people because of your gift for bridging people together. And in doing so, when you are so deeply connected and passionate, doing it at the scale that you've done it, have we come across some bad seeds? Yes. Are we finished coming across bad seeds? Absolutely not. Okay, absolutely not. But I'm looking at this wall around us right now of all of the people who pioneered this space through talk show, through radio, through nighttime TV, whatever it is. And I just don't remember the same slander for Oprah Winfrey bringing on some bad seeds. And we know now that there were some bad seeds, right? Arsenio Hall, Ellen DeGeneres, Dave Chappelle, like all these guys in this space. David Letterman, if I didn't say his name, what's her name? Barbara
Walters.
Barbara Walters. They've all interviewed some very well-known bad seeds. Many of these names have interviewed the Diddies and other people that have heavy accusations attached to their name, lawsuits, all kinds of things, and nobody's coming after their brand. They're just not as accessible as you are. They're not as accessible as we are. It just doesn't make sense, right? Their legal team would just shut this down in a heartbeat. And I just believe it comes with, no matter what you do, no matter what direction you choose to go in, your name will always be attached to greatness. And at any level, at any phase that you're moving towards something great, it is going to intimidate other people to find the flaw in you.
There's a lot of things you can do with $500. I mean, you can have a night out with your significant other. You could buy some really expensive shoes. Well, really nice shoes are about double $500. You could buy a course where you can learn something for $500. But I have something better for you to do with the $500. I want to meet with you every single morning for the rest of your life. Well, maybe not the rest of your life, but every morning, Monday through Friday, for the rest of the year. I have information and game that have allowed me to build a successful business, a successful community, and a successful life all the way around. But I want to share that with you. But the only way we can accomplish this is not me selling you a course, not me giving you a one-on-one consultation, because even with that, you'll get the information, but you'll need more. I want to meet with you every single morning. Now, would I meet with someone every morning for $500 for a year? And the answer is yes. Actually, we've been doing this thing since 2017. We have what's called the Morning Meetup. Every single month, we have a theme, whether it's social media, whether it's motivation, whether it's strategy, whatever it is, we have a theme for the month. And every morning in that month, we have a conversation around that topic. And I am giving a wealth of knowledge, not only myself, but a lot of friends, a lot of people that you see on this podcast, they join every single week. So you need a community of people that you can grow with, and you need a coach. I'm your coach. The Morning Meetup is your community. Go to themorningmeetup.com. It's $499, and I will meet you every single morning for an entire year. Give it a shot. That's a fact. I get that 100%. And I'm always evaluating, like what's going on in my business, what's going on in my brand. And I'm not so worried about people who have something negative to say. But I don't get super close to a lot of people anyway. And I can just see how there can be it can appear as a cosign to some people.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about people.
Well,
especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
There's so much captive can be created.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lead people. So it's not like I don't want to do interviews at all.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to do is interview people that everybody can't interview.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you'll have these radio runs of people. They get on my show, they'll go on your show, then another show, then another show. I want to interview, I don't know, somebody really successful that don't do a lot of interviews. I want to interview Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
Just interview like
but there's dirt attached
Keenan
to his
Ivory
name. It's like stuff.
I'm cool with that, but it's me interviewing somebody that's not going on a radio run or promo run.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's the direction. And also, not the direction, but I really found a love with Hot Seat, man. I really found a love with Hot Seat. I really, really do. Because the people that come on the Hot Seat, we're starting to see their businesses starting to flourish. It's a tough conversation, but they're starting to flourish. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think also in your defense, first of all, it's responsible to say, I just don't know enough about these people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in your defense, we just didn't have any reason to believe in the beginning. Like when Social Proof started, it was really to highlight people who were doing great things. Yep. And you don't have any reason to believe that they wouldn't be who they said they would be, at that time. And as time has gone on, sure, we've identified some people that were really some up to no good, right? Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate, but this wasn't like your mission to set out and just put anybody on the platform and just highlight everybody. And like, it was exciting. We were, when Social Proof started, we were at a very exciting time where we were winning. People were winning. Mm-hmm. It's like, look at all these Black people getting money. Mm-hmm. Come sit and let's talk about it. Yeah. And then the reality would hit later on and it's just a handful of people. It's not a whole lot of people. But then the reality would turn otherwise later, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. The important thing is when you are experiencing things in your business that aren't serving the marketplace, don't feel true and organic or good to you, mm-hmm. then as a business, you have to pivot. And if you don't, you end up being like, I just did a Google search and there are several companies that just in 2024 have announced that they are closing. Companies that closing a lot of stores, closing flagships, will only have one store that you can access. Like, who would have ever thought that our drugstores like Walgreens and CVS would be going out of business?
Family Dollar and Dollar Tree, 620 stores.
Mm-hmm. Best Buy.
Not Best Buy.
Best Buy. Best Buy, like won't be able to just walk into your favorite Best Buy anymore.
Macy's closing. We saw that though.
I saw Macy's
We
closing.
saw Macy's closing.
I saw Macy's
as
closing.
As soon as they started carrying Sean John. And,
when they brought Baby Fat back. But no, I can see that Macy's was closing years ago when they started to not keep up their stores the way they used to. Like you would walk into a Macy's and it would look like a Walmart apparel section. And it's like, okay, there's something going on here. Foot Locker.
Our beloved Foot Locker.
Foot Locker.
Golly. Rue 21 is closing 540 stores, one of them in Rome, according to this article.
Yeah.
7-Eleven is closing 272. I grew up
on those slushies?
Come on.
Those slushies used to slap. You hear me?
I don't know why 7-Eleven will go out, because that's not something that you can Amazon, the stuff that they sell, really.
No, but business is business, and there are people now who have their preferred gas station. You know, like it's like people who are like, I'll only stop at a Quick Trip or a racetrack to get gas.
Yeah, for sure.
The 99-cent store is closing. They're closing 371, or they have already closed 371 stores.
I can see that though, because what's 99 cents?
What's 99 cent? You know what's breaking my heart though? This store, first of all, y'all, when I discovered being fly in fashion, this was my go-to store. It didn't matter if I was going to the club, if I was going to work, like if I wanted to get fly on them, Express. And to see that Express is closing, they just filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and their plan is to close several of their stores. That was like, that was a dig in my heart.
Dang, CBS News said, the retail industry is going through a tough time as it copes with inflation-weary consumers and a rash of bankruptcies, prompting chains to announce the closure of almost 3,200 brick-and-mortar stores so far in 2024. 3,200 so far in 2024, and that was in May 13th, 2024. This is this a scary time, or is it like an opportune time?
I think it's both. I mean, I believe that this is frightening. Like if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in the retail space selling apparel online, I'm definitely paying attention to these store closings.
Yeah.
I want to know why they're closing. I want to go deep and do some market research. I might even bring a researcher on my team who's proficient in that to tell me like what happened, what didn't they pivot in, what didn't they change in? Was it a manufacturing flaw? Was it a fulfillment flaw? Was it simply the inconvenience of people not wanting to drive into brick and mortar stores anymore? Like what's happening? If I am in the apparel space, I'm taking it very seriously. On the flip side, I'm also taking very seriously why companies like Amazon and Fashion Nova, Shein, Temu are winning in that space of apparel. We know that it's, low price clothes, low quality clothes, but I'm not gonna lie. I've bought a couple of pieces off of the Amazon, and they were quality. You hear me? They were quality for the $39.99. So even I am finding myself shopping at these discount retailers. So yes, scary, but also an opportune time for those of you who actually study data and dig deep into the research. You'll find the loophole that says, I can do this. Also, this is also an opportunity, I believe, to have businesses that are not intended to be legacy businesses. Like you can literally start something and it be here for 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and you're done before you're on to your next thing.
Yeah, for sure. We're starting to see, what are some of the booming businesses like, what's the word? Betting companies are huge. I was actually talking to a guy, he's like heavy into the betting. And I guess it's supposed to be coming to Georgia. And he's like, yo, whatever bar allows you to bet in real time while something's going on, that restaurant is going to boom. And he said, yo, it's already some people that are working on it. He's sure, so that once it hits Georgia, then it like opens up the floodgates. But it's almost like the most toxic things going on in the world are thriving, whether it's betting or content entertainment is on an uptick, right? But the things that entertain people typically aren't super healthy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this podcast should literally, We should have like millions and millions and millions of subscribers.
We should.
This is good stuff here.
We should. We
It's just
put out
not
good
sensational
stuff.
enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What would make it sensational? And you guys tell us, like in the comments, wherever you're watching this, like what can we do to make the Social Proof podcast sensational? Where our clips, I mean, we got many clips that are going viral and all that stuff, but what's going to capture the subscription?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm being honest, that's kind of the point of like leaning into like hot seat a little more. It's like fun, new idea, you know what I mean? Not just information, but delivering it in a unique way. And I think all of us need to think about how can we do something that people can't easily find.
Yeah, I mean, this was a new idea, you know,
for sure.
when it came. So, and that brings me back to the point of the pivot. Do you pivot altogether? Do you pivot in a different direction? Like there are things that I believe
crazy.
that, I'm sorry?
OnlyFans is going
OnlyFans
crazy.
is going crazy. I believe that we've seen it as evidenced in radio and TV. Like you have to pivot. You have to change the storyline just a little bit and shake things up. I believe that that's something that's super, super natural. We're talking about what you can do. Is this a scary time or an opportune time? I think that for anybody who's looking to get into the restaurant industry, unless you have a crazy amount of experience, a brick and mortar might be a huge risk for you. Unless you have a crazy amount of experience and or capital to ride these waves.
Yeah.
Going into brick and mortar spaces could be tricky, but I think people who say, you know what, let me take this idea and do like a food truck and be able to be mobile so you can move into the areas, you can go into the areas of your demand and not just be in one centralized location. I think it's a booming time for food trucks to be out and about on the streets. And if you're thinking about it, I'd do it now because they're making the permit process and all those requirements to operate a food truck so strenuous right now that it's becoming harder and harder because now they're seeing another way to like make money off of another type of business model.
Nah, for sure. So we were talking about that with Uncle Phil's cheesesteak in Atlanta. Best cheesesteaks in Atlanta. Shouts out to Uncle Phil's. But they have a ghost kitchen right now. And just got a food truck. So like what you're saying is it's not just those fans. You can actually go to a place. So my boy, shouts out to Brandon Abrams. He does like it's like a Little League football thing. They be having over 1,000 people there to watch their kids play. And the food truck comes, set up, they can eat so we can make money here. And they can make money at their ghost kitchen, but they're really heavy on like, yo, we need a store. And they were asking me what I think. And I'm like, I mean, a restaurant is good, but it comes with a lot of challenges, especially in the beginning. And it's risky, it's scary, and we're not afraid of risk, but I was telling them, yo, you need to go, let's book out this food truck first. Let's get super busy with this food truck to where we have so much extra capital where you can put it into the store. But going into a brick and mortar, it's tough. We're in a tough time.
It's
right
a
now,
tough
man.
time. I mean, right here in Atlanta, we're currently experiencing in the major city of Atlanta a water main
Are
break.
they still closed?
Yeah. So in Atlanta, we experienced the water main break, and it was so major that like Meg Thee Stallion's concert had to be rescheduled from Saturday to last night. I have guests that are coming into to shoot Full Transparency podcast that had many of their tour stops canceled because they can't use the bathroom in establishments in the city of Atlanta. I just saw that Derek Hayes posted yesterday, which is three days after the initial water main break, that not only have him and Pinky's stores in those areas been closed for days, but another water main break caused his downtown store to completely flood. And he was saying like, listen, this was a $700,000 investment, and I don't know if we're going to come back from this, right? So when you're thinking about any type of brick and mortar, but especially in the fast food space, because, you know, if you're in apparel, for example, and you have a boutique and it's brick and mortar, something happens to that location, you can still move product through your digital website, right? But restaurant, something happens that closes your doors for a couple of days. Number one, it could put you out of business completely, but there's no other way to easily generate revenue. Like you can't just sell food out of the house, right? You can't be a crab cake restaurant just selling food out of the house if you are licensed for and have all of your regulations for this brick and mortar location. To Uncle Phil's restaurants that are operating in ghost kitchens, the owner of the ghost kitchen, this is a wildly, insanely profitable business for them.
Wildly,
insanely profitable business. For those of you who don't know what a ghost kitchen is, it is this commercial kitchen setup where they have many kitchens so that restaurateurs can come in and lease the space to cook their food and serve their food, right? So there could be 20 different restaurants, 50 different restaurants, whatever, depending on how big this ghost kitchen is. The downside, though, for the restaurateur is that you can't do any mass marketing to this ghost kitchen. You don't really have a whole lot of flexibility to put out your signage, like you're on this marquee, if that. You're on this marquee, your name goes there, but the trouble is, so does everybody else's name, right? Sure. And as you're standing there, usually you can't go in. If you can, you're not like walking through this food court. You're going to one register where they check you out, and everybody else is there picking up their food too. And so you're smelling all this other food and you're like, oh, what is that? And what is that? So you're bringing people into an environment where you're potentially exposing them to other places, and they're not just coming there for you anymore.
Yeah, but I think it's good. And you can do mass marketing because those the only problem is you have like a small space. So you will max out going too crazy, but it's hard to do that. But what I'm saying is you can keep, you can make the food. You also have like DoorDash and all that kind of stuff out of this one space. So Uncle Phil's, they just printed out a bunch of flyers and they're going to the apartment complexes up there. So the objective is, and yes, people are coming, but I think it's rare that people walk up to the ghost kitchen and say, you know, what am I going to order today? Most of the people order from their own marketing on the website, then come to the ghost kitchen to pick up. And people rarely use the actual iPads. So, but first off, we need to get a building and set up a ghost kitchen.
We need to set up a ghost kitchen.
Rent is so high for people. Oh my
Let me tell you something. At this time, if I were starting over in business, I can't give you a complete list because I'm not prepared to do that, but a couple of things that I would start no brainer in brick and mortar would be a ghost kitchen. I would also do a ghost gym.
A ghost gym.
A ghost gym. There are so many trainers who are looking for homes. So, and I talked to you about this idea last year. There are so many trainers who are looking for homes. They are going into these gyms and they're struggling to keep their clients because their clients have to get these gym memberships and pay them for the physical training services. Don't play with me. and pay them for the physical training services. So it becomes very expensive for the client, right? Well, and then many of these gyms like Lifetime and LA Fitness, they don't want these trainers coming in. No gym really, not even like the Loft. You can't just come in and train your clients unless you work out of those gyms. So like a ghost gym would also be a good idea. I don't know if you remember when we did the fitness boot camp last year, one of the places I was considering is a similar concept. I would run it very differently than how he's running it. In fact, I'm not even sure if he's still there, but I'd run it very differently. But imagine having this gym with all of the equipment that you need, all of these little stations, and you can rent your own space. And therefore, your clients are only paying to train with you. They're not paying for a membership in these gyms. I'd start something like that that I can think of right away. And we might even start something similar for the apparel space, right? Where like right now, if you do a 3PL, which is a third-party logistics company where many of your apparel brands are shipping your orders out from, they don't actually see it. It goes to this warehouse and they ship it for you. I've never seen this happen before. Like an apparel, a ghost boutique sort of thing, where your customer can come in. Like we have it for all these retailers. Like think about all of the apparel brands here in Atlanta that don't have any front facing presence where people can come in, and we have like dressing rooms set up where they can go into this boutique or that boutique or that boutique dressing rooms and utilize those things that would cut down on returns and exchanges and all kinds of things. I would start something ghost that could host a bunch of the same type of business.
Yeah. Because essentially they're a landlord for people that want to pay you rent. Essentially. You know what I mean? Like there are people, we're going into the similar concept with our model that we're building.
Yeah.
Right? So we facilitate an environment where people will pay you to do their own thing in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this economy, people want autonomy. They want to be able to build what they can build, and also has to be coupled with training. So just facilitating like an educational space. So if we were going to do like a ghost kitchen, we would probably want to educate the people on how to build their business as well. So it's not just here, throw you to the wolves, right? We're doing the same thing with the content creation space. It's just, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me put a blanket on all of this. As you're thinking of an entrepreneurial endeavor, I want you to really, really consider this and really, really pay attention. Do your very best to keep your overhead low and grow your overhead with the business. But even as you're running a model, you have to be able to lower the overhead if the overhead ever goes crazy, or the overhead or the sales don't come in to support it. Meaning, you can't just start out with, I'm going to build this particular business and I'm bringing on all these people because we have a good season. You have to consider in a good season, things could change. So I'd rather the people that I'm working with or have like hired, I'd rather be stressed out for a season. There's some seasons Reese does not like me because we're working really, really hard right now. But then there's some time we ain't doing a whole lot, right? Reese, you get to leave at 3:30, right? Reese is like, bro, I don't want to be working I don't want to be at work working and then go back to my house and be working. And then my life is filled with work. And I was like, dang, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad, because I want to know like what's going on. But because in the tough times where we got to do some work, we're not about to just hire on some full-time people, because this 2 weeks was really, really difficult. So you keep your overhead low. And I'm not even just talking about overhead for the business. Your home, your car, my house, we bought for less than $300,000. My mortgage is like $2,200. If anything goes wrong, I'm still gonna be okay. We're still gonna be homeless. It is very, very difficult to build a business under mental pressure of how am I going to make rent? How am I going to make sure? So we are running as lean as possible until we can grow more, and we may bring some people on, but the next hire that I hire is not going to be, hey, come on, this is what we're going to do for the year or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bring you on part-time. Let's see how that works out. Bring it in full-time. And also, the next person that I hire is going to be somebody that brings in some money. Because I am the most administrative hiring person in the world. I mean, want things to be dope. Like, all right, man, bring you on full-time. You do the thumbnails. And you do...
5 of you do the thumbnails. I want you to do the thumbnails with the blue background. You guys keep it funky with the yellow background. I have been telling you for years.
Bruh, you do the same thing.
No, I don't.
You got a whole lot of income generators as well.
Yeah, well, so when I first started hiring, my overhead is crazy low. When I first started hiring, my 2 first hires was an income. My very first assistant was revenue generating. But my first 2 major hires was a sales team, and that allowed me to get a tech team. Yeah. That was it. And then I was able to kind of pull back on the tech team and bringing them on project-based, because not much changed in my tech, right? Funnels and everything kind of stayed the same. And then as time would go on, that sales team put me in a position to then hire a full-time assistant who did things. But Bree still has to generate revenue too. Like she generates revenue. The only role that, and I would say that even Deja's role generates revenue because she manages my communities and she actually does the fulfilling in one of my communities. So that's also a revenue generating role.
That's not necessarily revenue generating.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. Because her responsibility in my post to paid community is to retain the audience there. She literally manages that 100% on her own.
That's not revenue generating.
It is revenue generating.
That's revenue retaining.
No,
it's revenue retention. Revenue generating means I go get some new money.
She acquires all of the people who come into post to paid now. I don't mention it. I don't discuss it. And we're still growing every single day. That's her responsibility.
How does she
through emailing, through texting, to getting people to come.
You said she manages
I don't have
community.
to. I said she manages every facet of that. That's also growing the stuff. So yes, if you are hiring, I recommend that you always start with a revenue generating role. And then you take the revenue that, that allows you to increase your budget and hiring other people. Now there will be things that, and when it's in revenue generating, for clarity, doesn't mean that you just go out and get new money. Revenue generating also means that you are in a role that is incremental to generating revenue, right? So like a tech role.
That's new money, Donni.
No. That can potentially stop your money. So for example, if you are a person that's really, really bad at tech, your sites are going down, you got stuff happening and you can't fix it quickly, it would be highly advantageous of you to bring someone in tech because they're managing your website, which is a revenue generating function of your company. They're not going out and getting new customers, but they're making it possible for those customers to do business with you. That is also a revenue generating role. But things that are not revenue generating are like your personal assistant who's handling your business there. This is not really a revenue generating role in that capacity. We could record this podcast in several different ways, right? But you want to make sure that any roles that you hire first directly impact revenue. That will open you up to do all of the fancy schmancy thumbnails and editing and all this stuff that's not necessarily directly reflecting revenue. I
think there's a difference between revenue generating and revenue retention. So you hire, let's say you have a clothing store, and you hire a security guard to make sure people don't steal. That's not revenue generating.
That's loss prevention.
That's loss prevention.
Yeah.
So if you hire somebody, so we have a community manager in one of my companies, and we want to make sure that person's there to make sure the people have a good time and they stay in the company.
Well, that's not necessarily revenue generating,
no,
unless
I'm not saying that's revenue. Okay. I'm saying that's revenue retention. Revenue generating, when I look at it, is somebody that goes to it's their whole job to go bring in some new money. You go find new clients, you find new customers.
That is also revenue generating. Yeah.
No, that is revenue generating.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not the only thing. It doesn't have to, that would imply that only a salesperson is a revenue generating role. And that's not the truth.
Somebody that runs ads is revenue generating.
Somebody who runs ads is revenue generating.
I define it as someone that's creating revenue that wasn't there before.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we are. Also, we are. But let your website go down and see how much revenue isn't being generated. You'll definitely consider your tech team.
No. Yes, that's loss prevention.
That's not loss prevention. Loss prevention is not the same thing. Okay. David loves to go to Google and challenge me on this stuff.
Okay. And I mean, a definition is just a definition. So, somebody wrote it, but it's not right or wrong. Revenue generation refers to the strategies and activities that businesses undertake to generate income and maximize their profits.
Okay. Do you not do that with your websites?
Huh?
Is your website not a strategy to generate revenue for your company?
Yes, you have to have a website to generate revenue. Yes.
Okay, well, there's that.
But having a website, no. A website doesn't generate revenue. A website supports revenue generation. If you have a website and it sits there and nobody comes, that website does not generate revenue. You need someone that's going to push people to the website.
Does
let me finish the definition.
Okay.
It encompasses various aspects such as sales, marketing, pricing, customer acquisition costs, management, and innovation. Revenue generation is crucial for businesses for several reasons. I just look at those two words. Revenue is money, generation, creation.
I understand what you look at, but the fact of what it is you can't. Revenue generation, there are three main functions. It's going to be your sales, your marketing, and your business development.
Correct.
Those are the three major categories of revenue generation. All things that affect your sales is revenue generating.
No. Not all things that affect the sales.
What affects your marketing is revenue generating. And I'm not talking, and I'm talking in terms for the marketing team to work, you have to have a major system that they utilize.
Right.
This all works together to be revenue generating. You're looking at an isolated role and saying, oh, the person who does the ad is the role that's revenue generating. Well, that's true, but it also has to have a system like a website, which requires some tech and all that's a whole revenue generating function of the business.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
So when I said my next hire is someone that's going to generate revenue, the way I'm defining it is I need someone to go get some money.
Yes.
Because someone might be looking at this and, oh yeah, I'm going to hire somebody to manage my community and make sure people don't leave. Well, that's good, but you need someone to have you need somebody to bring people in so that person has a job. So for my next role, I want to be very clear. Hey, can you
want them to be outbound
some revenue?
You want them to be outbound generating
Finding
revenue.
Money.
Yes, you want them to be outbound. Absolutely. And there's a difference. There's outbound, there's inbound, there's all kinds of stuff. You want specifically an outbound person who goes out and finds money from out there, brings it in here. Or it could
be inbound. Let's say, for instance, let's say you have a community of people, right? Let's say Actionable CEO. You have a community and they pay a certain amount of money per month. There might be somebody that you can hire to upsell your community on a particular project. Or they have this idea or vision. Hey, this is an infrastructure that we can create inside your company already. And you could extract more money from what you're already doing.
Yes.
That's a revenue generator.
That is revenue generating.
Like I think Marcus Lemonis, he'll go into the companies and he'll have this graphic of, okay, we have 1,000 square feet of retail space. And he'll even optimize the retail space to make sure that the people that come into this retail space spend more money. Or we could put more items in the store because maybe the layout is so spread out and we have like dead space.
Yeah.
So that would create more money.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Y'all, we are currently also streaming this live. So I want to know what you guys thought. What's your biggest takeaway from today's episode? And those of you who are catching up, watching this right now on YouTube, on any of the podcast platforms, we want to know your biggest takeaway from today's episode as well. To recap, business is evolving. Business is flat out changing, and you have to not be so attached to the idea as you have it mapped out in your head and be willing to pivot. And that could mean very, very, very small tweaks. It could mean very, very, very major tweaks. Part two of that is look at what's happening in the big business world, right? Look at what these major retailers and companies and restaurateurs and things are doing and ask yourself, what can I learn from what's happening with these businesses and apply it to my own to protect myself and stay in business longer? Also, we talked about something else.
We definitely talked about lower overhead. Consider that.
Consider lower overhead. It's just not necessary. It's just not necessary to have I believe that it is more, what's the word? I believe it's more of a vanity metric than it is a necessity for you to have a large team of people doing things. And you got to build your business how you got to build your business. And you allow your revenue to reward you with a new team member if you believe that you need them.
Sure.
And get out there and do something revenue generating. What's been the number one takeaway from you, something that you can apply? I know me, I want to go and do some research on why some of these companies are shutting their doors and or filing bankruptcy, and what's happening in the digital marketplace, and making sure that we're staying on trend with all of that.
Yeah, I think like if we look through history, we'll maybe see that there's always a major exodus of businesses, like a major, I don't know, it's more prominent now because we've got the internet and stuff like that. But I think there's always maybe been, and we maybe didn't look at it like that, but companies are always going out of business. But the companies that go out of business, I would say probably, one, they're not evolving with what's happening in the world.
For sure.
You know what I mean? They're just not evolving with what's happening in the world. So you all have to look at your industry, look at your business, and you should be always focused on constant tweaks, constantly looking at what's happening. Yo, this is the first week that this past Monday, I didn't release an interview. Sunday, we didn't release Hot Seat. Friday, we didn't do Free Smoke. In years since I broke that consistency, but only because I'm looking at how people are operating. And I think a couple years ago, more content was better. More content works. The more times you can get in front of somebody, the more valuable that is. But I'm just looking at kind of the trends of what's happening. And I think people now want, and I think you can make an argument for both sides, but higher production quality. Higher production quality than just a bunch of information. And I think we have a good blend of good information and production quality, but we gotta start doing something unique, y'all, and start investing a little more into what you're doing.
Yep.
There it is.
There that is.
There it is.
Bye, y'all.
We out here.
See y'all next week.
If you like the video that you just watched, click this one. You're gonna like this one, maybe even more. Click it right now.